At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Let's go beyond the box score with Jackie Ray, and let's talk about how President Donald Trump, going over to last week, has inserted himself into the world of sports once again. He has said publicly, quote, "Over the next few weeks, I will be signing a complete pardon of Pete Rose, who shouldn't have been gambling on baseball, but only bet on his team winning. He never betted against himself or the other team. He had the most hits by far in baseball history and won more games than anyone in sports history." Close quote. First, good evening, Jackie Ray. Second, I worked in sports media for a few years while this was happening, when Pete Rose specifically was banned from baseball. Before we go forward, I have to say once again, we are ahead of the curve talking about the president inserting himself into sports. We can't then turn around and say, hey, athletes, don't say anything political. What say you?
Well, first of all, I want to say to young people who are in school, this is what happens when you don't do the reading. You get everything completely wrong, because if you were confused, if you're like Mo and you knew about this when it was happening, this statement was very confusing at first, because you probably had to Google and say, was he convicted? Did he go to prison for gambling? He did not go to prison for gambling. He went to prison for tax evasion, and it was only a few months at that, but it was well after his career. So when you're pardoning Pete Rose, you're not pardoning him for gambling. You're giving him a pardon for tax evasion. It's not the same thing. So there's a disconnect there for me, first of all.
Obviously, President Trump is angling for Pete Rose to be included in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Let me bring everyone up to speed on some of the facts. Major League Baseball and the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum are separate entities. Mm-hmm. The latter is operated by a private foundation. As far as Major League Baseball goes, Rule 21 is what determined Pete Rose's fate. And it reads as follows, quote, "Any player, umpire, or club or league official or employee who shall bet any sum whatsoever upon any baseball game in connection with which the bettor has no duty to perform shall be declared ineligible for 1 year." Part 2. Any player, umpire, club, or league official or employee who shall bet any sum whatsoever on any baseball game in connection with which the bettor has a duty to perform, like Pete Rose was a manager, shall be declared permanently ineligible. Permanently is not for life. Permanently is till the end of time. Now, the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum has this latitude. If Major League Baseball removed Rose from the permanently ineligible list, it in no way binds the Hall of Fame to also admit him. Let me recap very quickly, and I'll bring you back in, Jackie Ray. If you bet at all, it does not matter if you bet on your team, you bet on someone else's team. If you bet your team to win, your team to lose, you are permanently ineligible. Let me also break it down. Just because you bet on your team to win does not mean that you're not doing the game a disservice. For example, let's say if I bet a sum of money on this game tonight and I'm the manager, I may use a pitcher that I didn't plan to use, and I may use him tonight. And that means he's not to be used tomorrow because of inning max. I am impacting the game in a way which has to do with betting, not the good of the team, using a pinch hit or something. So there's no distinction made as to whether you are betting on your team or against your team. It is illegal.
And it's illegal for good reason, because now if you were to pardon this, if this is the goal to pardon this situation, there sets a precedent. And we've been talking about this for a long time. This rabbit hole goes very deep as far as gambling. And if you set a precedent that says to people, oh yeah, this is just going to be bad for me now, but it's not going to damage my legacy, because that's one of the reasons that should prevent players from wanting to gamble, because it's going to damage your legacy. But if it's just a slap on the wrist and then later you can get a president to say, oh, gambling's not that bad as long as you're gambling. I'm always going to bet on myself in life, you know? So that's kind of a ridiculous statement to me. And he's setting a precedent that I don't think anybody should pay attention to, because what do we talk about all the time? The integrity of the sport. And if you want sports to have integrity, if you want the fans that watch the game to think that there is a level of integrity in the game, then you have to uphold these things, even if the president of the United States does not.
There's a distinction there, and I want to highlight the integrity of the game, which is different from integrity of the person. Oftentimes I hear this argument, well, Ty Cobb was a racist, or this person was an a-hole, and this person had sex outside of marriage. It's not the integrity of the person. You're talking about the integrity of the game, the sport itself. And betting, anyone who plays baseball, professional baseball, knows Rule 21. It is sacrosanct. It is inarguable. There are no mitigating circumstances. That's why Shoeless Joe Jackson is not in the Hall of Fame, and he still ain't in. When they say permanently ineligible, they mean permanently ineligible. Now, I don't know how much of a baseball fan President Trump is. I get the sense that he doesn't know much about baseball, just being honest, because no one is disputing whether Pete Rose has the player resume to be in the Hall of Fame as the all-time hits leader and manager. Charlie Hustle, I know his history, chapter and verse. But Rule 21, until it changes, and I read that a baseball commissioner is considering reviewing it. Until something happens, he should not ever sniff the Hall of Fame, because the rules are presently as they are.
And I think the commissioner should not consider this. And the reason why I say that is because when we're talking about fans, again, we have these rumors circling every single season about every single sport that something is rigged. And the only way that you can give the illusion that that is not true is if you prevent gambling by the players who play the game. And so, again, you don't want to set that precedence. And to your point, I don't think President Trump knows anything about many sports because of the way that he talks about it. Not that he has to. You're the president of the United States. You're supposed to be good at that. You're not supposed to be good at knowing what's going on in sports. But if you want the fans to have faith, even the president of the United States saying this should be reconsidered should have no precedence in how you move as a league. So I really hope that this is something that they just completely throw out the window.
And there are a lot of folks who are Johnny-come-latelys who really don't even know the history of this, and they want to relitigate it. Pete Rose agreed with Major League Baseball on a permanent ban in 1989. He said, yes, okay, I'll sign here. And he also admitted to betting on baseball and betting on his own team in his memoir. He did by himself.
And a man that does this, let's be clear, a man that is going to bet on the sport that he plays, suddenly telling you, yeah, but I only bet on myself. If you take that verbatim, then that's a you problem. You can't trust anything at that point. This man, his integrity has been questioned, and he has admitted to that. So you can't, even though the president is saying he only bet on himself, you're just taking his word for it, and there's no proof of that. So this ban has to stay indefinitely, in my opinion.
For the sake of the sport itself.
Right.
Now, if you want to get into the politics of it all and the optics of it all, yes, Rose is a celebrated American figure, and there are those who want to disregard his personal shortcomings, which I haven't even gotten into, as well as his gambling shortcomings. And if you're a fan of the sport of baseball and you're knowledgeable about the rules, do not pass go. Do not advance to boardwalk when it comes to Rule 21. Until that rule changes, Pete Rose is permanently ineligible, which is not the same as for life. It means forever, forever, ever.
Forever, ever?
Forever, ever. And once again, here we are. We're back with sports, gambling, and also politics. It just seems like they lay this stuff out here for us.
Because politics affect people. And who plays sports?
Say that again. Say that again.
Politics affect people. And people play sports. That's why.
Eventually, they're going to start listening to us, Jackie Ray. They're going to start listening to us. And when we come back, let's stay right here with baseball. Did you know that baseball is right now testing technology that could render umpires obsolete? They are testing automated ball strike systems to be used, at least right now, in the minor leagues. And it might be in the major leagues. We'll talk about that when we come back. It's Later with Mo Kelly. I'm joined by Jackie Ray as we go beyond the box score. We are live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's Later with Mo Kelly, and we're still going beyond the box score with Jackie Ray, and still live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Well, you can't say that robot umpires are here in Major League Baseball as we continue to talk about baseball, but a version of an automated strike zone is being tested right now during spring training. And the ABS challenge system, as it's called, is being implemented. The system will be in place at 13 stadiums and in more than 60% of spring training games across Arizona and Florida. Let's get to the real issue here. Baseball has been very slow to change, and part of that slowness is due to the fact that baseball likes to pride itself on tradition and history from its stats and how the game is played, where it's pretty much the same today as it was 70, 80 years ago. But with the advent of technology, they've been really, really slow. Basketball was quicker to adopt replay. You had tennis and soccer and hockey adopting more complicated, more sophisticated technology as far as determination of line violations and goals. Baseball has always hung on to the idea of there's acceptable human error. I've never agreed with that. I would rather have the call correct. Where do you come out on this?
I'm somewhere in the middle. I understand this. The instant replay has been a huge deal. Obviously, you need that. We've seen several calls, no matter if you're a football fan or a basketball fan. We've seen you had to reverse calls. I think it was Joel, somebody just got ejected from a basketball game and they had to go look at the replay and be like, nope, just kidding. Bring it, Joel Embiid. Yeah, bring him back. So these kinds of things really help the integrity of the sport, and it lets you get it right. On the flip side, my coach used to always tell me, if it comes down to the call of a ref, you already lost that game anyway. So it really doesn't make that much of an impact. But we've seen this, especially in the NFL. Yes, it does. Because if that game is close, it can come down to it. So I understand both sides of it. I think that this is great that the baseball is trying to take a leap because, like you said, they've been really big on tradition. But traditionally, we like to make our lives easier, and we like to respect the integrity of the sport and know that it's right. I do believe there's a little bit of human error is fine, but coming down to affecting a lot of plays when their answer is right there is completely unnecessary. So I think this is a good move.
Let's talk about specifics. During spring training, teams will get 2 challenges per game and will only lose a challenge if it is unsuccessful. Only a batter, pitcher, or catcher can challenge a call, not the manager, which they will indicate by tapping their head. They have to do so immediately after the pitch without assistance from the manager or players in the dugout. This is called Hawkeye tracking technology. It will be then used to display on the video board showing whether the pitch was a strike or not. On average, the challenges at the AAA level, which is one level below Major League level, has taken 17 seconds to complete. But this is almost counterintuitive because they tried to speed up the game with the pitch clock. I understand why they're testing, but it's just going to show up umps. Why don't we just get to the end? This is where all this is headed. Why don't you just bring in the technology? Professional hockey, the officials don't determine it. It's done electronically. Same with soccer as well, professional soccer. And we know the lines in tennis. Yeah, they have a judge ump, but it's technology that gets to determine it. I don't know why it's taking so long. Let's hurry up. You're only talking about, let's say, 100 umpires. Just bring in the technology and move on.
Yep. I agree with that. Just speed up the process. I get the wondering if it's going to slow down the game, but let's speed this up because that's what we've seen work across other leagues. We've talked about it and then we've tried it. We haven't talked about it and then tested it out in the G League.
Right.
Or we've talked about it and then we've done it. And then when you do it, because here's, in my opinion, there's a level of, well, we're just trying it out. So the urgency to get this right and get it to perform at a high level quickly just isn't there. So no, just get it done. Let's just move it right into the majors right now. Let's just get it done.
That's one thing I do like about the NFL. It's much more nimble of a professional league. In other words, we're going to change the kickoff rule. We're going to change overtime rule. They make it happen and keep moving, and then they'll tweak it as they go. Baseball, not so much. Part of it, I do understand they're probably gradually bringing along their fandom to understand it and receive it in the ways that they've disallowed the shift in the outfield, in the way that they've made changes as far as how many pitching changes you can make in a given inning, how they change extra innings with starting a runner on second base. Baseball has done better, but this is the biggest change, which I think would be great for everyone. Just get the right call. I don't need someone behind the plate using their human judgment to do it. Just get the right call. If it's a strike or not, I can go into all the zone percentages and how it'll be determined. That's neither here nor there. Just make it happen. We have the technology.
Right. And, I appreciate respecting and honoring the fan base and moving things slowly. But I can tell you right now that the fan base is used to things moving quickly. Nobody in that fan base probably has the very first iPhone because technology just moves that fast. So we are in a society now where we're trained to move with the times. So all you have to do is move with the times and say, hey, we're moving into the 21st century. That's all you have to say. People are going to go with it because they're trained to it. And if they're not, trust me, they will come around because at some point a robot is going to deliver food to them and they're going to think the robot is cute. They're not going to say to themselves, I wish a human had brought they're not going to say that.
No,
That's not the time that we live in. Capitalize that everybody is kind of technologically sound and we're moving forward and how can we make our lives easier? That's how we're all that we all have that in common. We all understand that life is going to get very interesting with the advent of AI and things like that. We all understand that. So don't think that people are going to be slow to understand what's happening in their day-to-day lives anyway. That's not going to happen.
Jackie Ray, it's good to see you. We'll talk soon.
Talk to you soon.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
The Oscars have come and gone. I was not really impressed with much of that show. I didn't have a dog in the fight. I wasn't rooting for any particular movie. I said before the show that since a lot of the movies lack the type of star power that you would customarily expect with an Oscars award show, didn't have much impact on me. I think the biggest story was maybe Demi Moore and whether she would win an Oscar. She was the front runner for Best Actress as far as what we could gather going into the Oscars. She had won most of the awards leading up to that point, the Indicator Awards. People, I think, were waiting or expecting her to win. She did not. That's a storyline, but it didn't make the show any better one way or the other. And Conan O'Brien, I thought, was going to be a bit edgier in his monologue, with the exception of the Drake joke, which we'll play at some point. I was very underwhelmed. I've seen him do far better work. So we'll play just a little bit of it and come to your own conclusion.
Hello, I'm your host, Conan O'Brien. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did he say Conan? Does he call himself Conan O'Brien?
Play it again.
Hello, I'm your host, Conan O'Brien. No. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I know what you're thinking. Did Conan not have work done? Seriously. He looks his age. I should have done something. I am excited to be here. Welcome to the 97th Academy Awards. It's Hollywood's biggest night that starts at 4 in the afternoon. Everyone here just had brunch. I don't understand it. But it's the Oscars, and I say, let's do this thing. You ready to go? I am. I'm walking to show I have control of the stage. A complete unknown. A real pain. Nosferatu. These are just some of the names I was called on the red carpet. I think two are fair. We're here to celebrate the movie industry. What a year for the movie industry. Netflix leads all studios with an impressive 18, count them 18, price increases. Yes. And I think they can beat that next year.
I've heard him do
better. And how about those ladies, Ariana and Cynthia? Weren't they amazing? They were incredible. Wicked is nominated tonight in 10 categories. Yeah. 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 It's the perfect movie for anyone who's ever finished watching The Wizard of Oz and thought, sure, but where did all the minor characters go to college? That's the story. I love The Brutalist. I really did. I love The Brutalist. Yeah. Brutalist also received 10 nominations. Yeah. No, I love The Brutalist. I really did. I didn't want it to end, and luckily it didn't. Conclave. I'm a Catholic boy. I love Conclave. Yeah. Yeah. Movie Conclave is nominated for Best Picture tonight. If you haven't seen Conclave, its logline is a movie about the Catholic Church, but don't worry.
I kind of laughed.
You got to hold on
was
that
solid.
one and just wait, yeah. And then it comes rolling back at you. Ray Fiennes is excellent in Conclave. Yeah. You are. Excellent. True fact. This is actually Ray Fiennes' third time being nominated. Yeah. If he doesn't win tonight, we all get to call him Ralph. Hey, Ralph, give me a towel.
Okay. It's just not real super
Can't
funny.
tell if he's laughing or not. It doesn't matter. Not getting paid a lot. Hey, you know what? I loved Nora. I really did. Yeah, I loved Nora. Yeah. Yeah, true story. Little fact for you, Nora uses the F word 479 times. That's 3 more than the record set by Carla Sofia Gascon's publicist. You cheated what?
It's a little too inside baseball. It wasn't that funny.
I'm having fun. Carla Sofia Gascon is here tonight. And, yeah. And Carla, if you are going to tweet about the Oscars, remember, my name is Jimmy Kimmel.
Okay. All right. It was all right. I expected it to be just a little more edgy, a little more funny.
He had a line later on that kind of brought the house down about why people liked Nora so much, and the reason is because they were happy to see somebody stand up to a powerful Russian.
Yeah.
That got a huge response.
Yeah, but for almost like an 18-minute monologue, I need a few more hits than misses.
I wanted more of him. I wanted more of his shtick from his old show, and the closest he came was the sandworm playing the piano, or what was the sandworm playing?
To a harp and piano.
Okay, right.
Something like that. Yeah, there were two instruments.
I love the bizarre, random stuff from his old show, and I was hoping the old offensive ghost crooner would come out, but big disappointments on that front.
I like the sandworm bit.
Yeah.
I don't attribute that to Conan O'Brien. I attribute that to the producers. You know, they put that in there. I don't know if he put that in there.
But he's renowned for just a silly, offbeat, random, abstract, absurd sense of humor. I mean, I knew we weren't going to see the FedEx Pope in his bathrobe, but that was some vintage Conan, I thought.
Yeah, and actually, I liked how they started. You obviously couldn't play when he's basically crawling out of Demi Moore at the very beginning as an ode to Substance. I like that physical comedy. Mm-hmm. But as far as what the monologue had, it didn't quite meet the mark for me. But there were some moments when he throws in a Drake joke and the whole audience gets it. It reminds you of how the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef is now so very mainstream that a completely white audience, let's be honest, who's not connected to hip hop music immediately gets the joke.
Well, we're halfway through the show, which means it's time for Kendrick Lamar to come out and call Drake a pedophile. Don't worry, I'm lawyered up. Anyway.
That's good stuff. That is really good stuff. And if you know the history, Kendrick Lamar, his song, Not Like Us, he calls Drake a pedophile in a specific lyric that he also performed during the Super Bowl. Prior to the Super Bowl, Drake's people tried to sue. And in fact, there was a settlement I can't even talk about on air because it has to do with a parent company that we work for. There was a settlement. You can look it up, Mark, so you know what I'm talking about. There's a settlement regarding that song and how often it was played and why it was played. And for Conan O'Brien to hit all of those stories in that joke, I thought it was really witty.
I hope they invite Conan back. I like Kimmel as well. But I hope they invite Conan back, and I hope he cuts loose even more the next time.
And maybe that's part of it. You know, you're going to be a little bit more conservative your first time out if you want to do it more than once. I personally was not tired of Jimmy Kimmel. I thought they just needed a fresher voice and face to give it just a different feel to the show. And they were successful in that regard.
I mean, you're never going to have anybody as cool as Johnny Carson doing it.
No. Look, I would have even settled for a Billy Crystal-esque type person who really knew how to work the room in that regard. But, Conan was fine. It's fine. Maybe my expectations were higher than they should have been.
Maybe. I thought the award show itself was a snoozer because it's the weakest group of nominees that I remember in my entire life.
And not only that, the things that I was tuning in for, like the tribute to Quincy Jones, I thought was just really poor, not well thought out, not well executed, and it seemed like an afterthought. The in memoriam segment left out too many people. The things that I was tuning in for left me wanting more. It was disappointing.
Yeah, if you're going to do the in memoriam segment, they get complaints about this every single year, and it doesn't take a genius to get this right. I mean, like you always say, get the easy ones right. This is one of the easy ones.
Amen to that.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, Mr. Mo Kelly, we're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. And I didn't choose the title of this. It's just the title, okay? I'm just reading what was put in front of me. Blame Stefan, Mark, or Tawala. Not my fault. Here's your horoscope for each zodiac sign on March 4th. As of tomorrow, the moon aligns with Uranus.
Does it now?
So I'm told. Aries, this is a full system test, reset, and invitation to burn away outdated beliefs about money, worth, and security. The cosmos is stripping you to the essentials, forcing you to release financial habits and value systems that no longer serve you. If you've been clinging to scarcity, thinking or measuring your worth by external validation, well, this is your moment to break free. Something within you is shifting, urging you to redefine true abundance.
That lines up with Uranus.
Taurus, you may feel a sudden, almost electric sense of awakening, a realization that the person you've been is no longer the person you are becoming. It's not just about minor changes or small shifts in perspective. It's a full-scale rebirth, a redefinition, if you will, of your desires, ambitions, and the very essence of who you are. This process may feel exhilarating one moment and disorienting the next, as old versions of yourself fall away.
Forget Saturn. It's all about Uranus.
Just keep going back to that well.
Trust that the universe guides you toward a more honest, unapologetic expression of your true self. Gemini, Stefan, are you ready for Uranus? That's a yes/no question. Turn on your mic.
Well, when it's a Cancer, then.
Oh, so you're Cancer. Oh, sorry. So that's. Oh,
this is
Mark.
Mark.
This is Mark's Uranus.
It gets funnier every time.
Gemini, your body is speaking, but are you listening? The smallest triggers, a conversation, a movement, a scent, can send shockwaves through your nervous system, unearthing what has long been buried. This isn't just about the mind. This is about the body as a map, revealing the places where pain, memory, and healing intertwine. You might feel overwhelmed by emotions seemingly coming out of nowhere. I'm going to leave that joke.
Coming out of.
I'm going to leave that joke alone.
Where are they coming out of?
But nothing is random about this process. I saw that curve and I said, let me just stop. Cancer, here we go.
There we go.
The muse is knocking, but it's not here for perfection, but for raw, uncontainable expression. Inspiration is surging, but it will slip through your fingers if you try to control it. What wants to be created through you right now is untamed, messy, and alive. Whether through art, writing, movement, or some other channel, you are being called to open the creative floodgates without worrying about structure or outcome. If you overpolish and try to make it digestible for others, you might miss the very essence of what makes it powerful. Trust in the beauty of imperfection.
Look to the stars. You'll see Uranus.
Leo, home is calling, but not in the way you expect. The past may be knocking, asking you to reconsider where you belong and what truly anchors you. Is home a place, a person, or a feeling? Or is it something deeper, something you've yet to define? You might feel nostalgic, drawn to familiar comforts, or even unsettled by the realization that what once felt like home no longer does. The ground beneath your feet is shifting, and soon you'll have no choice but to answer. Virgo, there are forces shaping your path that you have yet to fully acknowledge. The pressures, the distractions, and the quiet expectations have been molding your decisions without you even realizing it. Who are you when you strip away external influence? The universe urges you to examine where your choices are truly yours and where they have been subtly shaped by societal expectations, family, or fear. So it's time to cut through the noise, to recognize what is authentically yours and what has been imposed upon you, or Uranus. What? Nothing? Tough crowd. Libra. People don't fit into neat little boxes, and the universe is making sure you understand that right now. If you've been trying to mold others to your liking, prepare for resistance. I'll leave that alone. You are being asked to shift your perspective to release rigid expectations.
Wait, what?
And to meet people as they are, not as you wish them to be. There is beauty in the messiness of human nature, in the contradictions, the unpredictability, and the imperfections. I think, how you play that game with a fortune cookie, and whatever the fortune cookie says, you put in bed on the end of it.
Yeah.
This seems like one of those times we need to put your anus on the end of every sentence. Or not.
I agree.
There's beauty in the messiness of human nature, in the contradictions, the unpredictability, and the imperfections.
As comets shoot past Uranus.
The more you release your grip, the more you'll see people for who they truly are, complex, contradictory, and beautifully human. Scorpio, here you go, Tuala.
Oh, snap.
Desire doesn't thrive in control. It thrives in surrender. If you've been trying to orchestrate, analyze, or contain your emotions, the cosmos reminds you that real intimacy requires trust. You cannot intellectualize your way through passion, nor can you script every moment of connection. There is an invitation now to let go, to step into the unknown with open arms and a fearless heart. Whether in love, creativity, or personal transformation, the more you release your grip, the more magnetic you become.
I don't know how that Milky Way lines up with Uranus.
Sagittarius. Stop it, Mark.
You're killing me tonight.
Your life is art, and every moment is a brushstroke. The cosmos asks you to slow down.
Yeah.
Romanticize the smallest details and let beauty catch you off guard. When was the last time you truly savored something fully without distraction? There is an urgency to embrace the present, to let joy and wonder permeate your daily existence. This isn't about escapism. It's about presence. The more you savor, the more you see. Let the world become poetry. Let the mundane become sacred, and watch as your reality transforms. Capricorn.
Wait. For Sagittarius, you're a Sag, Mo.
Yes, I am.
And you have a telescope. Have you ever used it to look at Uranus?
Capricorn. A little chaos is good for you. The universe is inviting you to step off the beaten path and trade rigid plans for some unpredictability. You may resist at first. After all, structure is your sanctuary, but something within you craves a shakeup, a fresh approach, a radical new way of being. The structures you cling to may not be as stable as you think, and that's not bad. When the familiar crumbles, creativity takes root. Aquarius. Don't say it, 12.
Where does it take root?
That's why I'm not looking at any of you. I'm not looking at any of you. I refuse.
I almost lost.
I know you don't have to say it. Aquarius, your beliefs are under construction. The framework of your worldview is shifting, asking you to stretch beyond old philosophies and into something new. What you thought was certain is now up for debate, and that's exactly how it should be. This isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's a total reorientation of perspective. You're being asked to think bigger, see beyond past limitations, and challenge what you've always accepted as truth. Pick up the pieces, rearrange them, and build something expansive.
Like?
Damn you! Pisces. The haze isn't confusion, it's initiation. You're walking through the fog of your subconscious, being asked to trust in what you can't yet see. This isn't a time for hard answers or linear logic. It's a time for intuition, for letting the mysteries of your inner world unfold without resistance.
I believe that right now all the planets are lining up with
KFI. Mark, how much time are you going to need before you're going to do the news?
I don't know. I need
Resetting?
I think I'm good.
It's the funniest 3 hours in all talk radio. You know it's true. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Where?
More informing, more engaging, more stimulating. KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere.